Alright, so what we're going to do is use what's oftentimes called the mason jar method for evaluating soil texture. And so to do that, we just need it doesn't literally need to be a mason jar. It could be something like just a pasta jar. Here's something from some Prego spaghetti sauce. And I think this was a jelly jar. And this, I think, had olives in it at one point. Basically, we just need something that has relatively straight sides, because what we're going to be doing is putting a volume of soil in here, shaking it up with a combination of water and a little dishwashing detergent, shaking it up really well to get the particles separated, and then we're going to let them settle, and then we will be measuring the layers. We're going to measure the layers of sand, silt, and clay, and then then we'll estimate the percent sand, silt, and clay based on how thick those layers are. So the actual size of the overall jar doesn't really matter very much. The bigger it is and the bigger the soil sample we have, the more accurate those results will be, but a smaller jar like this will work just fine just for trying to get an analysis of soil texture in something like a vegetable garden. So we've got three different jars. We're going to get soil samples from three different places. We're going to start with this vegetable garden, and what I'm going to do, so we can get a representative sample for the garden, is I'm going to get soil samples from at least three different locations, mix them up in a bucket, or it could be a big thick plastic bag, something that we can mix that stuff up, homogenize the soil, and then we'll actually take our soil sample from here. So I'm going to go to a couple different places in the garden, get a soil sample to put in here. We can get the soil right from the surface down through whatever level that is meaningful to us. So in the case of a vegetable garden, if we go down 6 or 8 inches, that's where the vast majority of the root systems are going to be. So that would be of interest to us. So that's what we'll do. And I'm just using a trowel, could be a spade shovel, and a couple of scoops from and then we're just going to homogenize this, mix it up, and this is going to be pretty easy with this soil because my wife just rototilled it, and everything is good and loose. So I can do it with the trowel. We'll do it by hand. Basically, want to have it broken up relatively well, and mix up the samples from those different locations around the garden. That's good. And it doesn't matter which container I use. I'll take this one, and we're going to take and homogenize so it's equal throughout this volume. And I'm going to take some of it and fill the jar halfway, 3/4 of the way. Just need enough room. You don't want large rocks in there. Just enough room to add water and some detergent and be able to shake this up. So that's good enough for this site. So there's our garden soil. And most of the soil out of that so we don't have too much left in there for the next site. And we'll go up to another location for another soil sample. Here we've got some soil that our neighbor excavated when they were digging out the foundation, or digging out for the basement of a new house. If you take a look here, you can see that we've got quite a bit of rock in this. So one of the reasons we might want to get a soil sample from something like this and evaluate it for soil texture is to determine if we would want to use this soil for a particular purpose. Like, do we want to use any of this soil to establish a garden, or would it be better, if it's too sandy, would it be better for something like fill, something that would be well drained? So we'll do the same thing as we just did before at the vegetable garden. Empty the bucket out here. There's a sample from the vegetable garden, and then I'm going to get four soil samples in more or less a grid here, and it's going to take me a little more effort because this is not rototilled. This is going to be relatively tough going, but basically the same thing. So I'll get 2 scoops from each of 4 spots like we did before. So this is obviously very rocky. It's going to be tough to analyze this. Actually, it's that rocky, but didn't really don't know that until we dig into it. So what we're going to do is exclude the large rocks. The mason jar method is it's a sort of quick and dirty, no pun intended, quick and dirty method for doing soil texture. So we're after measuring the part of the soil that's actually going to be functional in a root system. Got that pretty well homogenized. Use the Prego jar. Okay, that's good. We still have room for some water and a little detergent so we can shake that up and get the particles loose. Alright, then we'll go try. We'll go get a sample from a third site. Alright, so here we've got an area that obviously a tractor went through here. It looks like a truck as well, and the soil is not very well drained, or at least it was pretty muddy when those vehicles went through. So this would actually be a decent place to want to know something about the soil texture. It looks like it's not very well drained, which would probably indicate that it's not much sand, mostly silt and clay. But we'll test that. So get 4 samples, put in the bucket, and homogenize it like we did before. Concentrate on the stuff where the tracks have obviously dug the soil up. Remove as much of the root mass as we reasonably can. It makes it difficult to get it mixed up well. Alright, so there we've got our vegetable garden, the waste soil from the foundation, and right here where these tractor tracks are. And we will take those back and add water and some detergent and get those shook up so we can let them sit then.